Hey folks, once again I have teamed up with Rado to give some beginner strategy advice for a game that I have played and reviewed over on his channel. If you want to watch the run through, you can click the link in the corner, but what I'm going to cover here are a few basic tips that will help your first few games run a lot smoother. See, this is absolutely the kind of game where you can bumble along for a while and then be completely blindsided by someone ending the game when you had barely gotten your engine going in the first place. And yes, there is a little advice card, and this is helpful, but while it gives you a few action suggestions, I don't think it really gets you in the right mindset that you need to be in to play this game. So without any further ado, here are my top 5 beginner strategy tips for Scythe. You start off on a little island or peninsula, and you'll find some of what you need there, but not all of it. So one of your first goals should be to figure out how to get off of your starting island and into the world at large. Now, depending on your faction, there are usually 2 ways to do this. One, you can build a mine, which allows you to connect to the greater mine network at the center of the board, or you can deploy a mech. One of your mechs will give you a specific form of river walk, and another one of your mechs will give you a unique movement ability. Either one of these can be used to get off of your starting slice and really start expanding. Of course, in order to do that, you'll also need to build workers. You're going to want to get at least one worker out on the board as soon as possible. The more workers you have on the board, the more you can get out of production and the more territories you can control. There is a cost, an added cost, once you have your 2nd, 4th, and 6th workers out, but the first one, power, is not something you should really fret over. Now, you do want power. Power is important, but it is a much more manageable cost than the others. So putting out 3 workers, 3 of your extra workers, puts you in a pretty good position. Another reason to have a lot of workers on the board is that at some point your opponents are probably going to attack you. And the more workers they force to retreat, the more they will have to pay for it. Of course, that doesn't mean you should just invite them in. While it is technically possible to play this game completely pacifistically, it's not going to happen. So you can and should be looking at other areas of the map to identify spots where your opponents are either leaving resources vulnerable or within range to attack yours. Losing a big stash of metal when you were just about to build a mech only for your opponent to then swoop in and build one of their own is devastating. So you need to keep an eye on not just where your opponents are, but how they can move. Now, even if you are paying attention, sometimes mechs just show up out of nowhere. So if you're really worried about losing your resources, it might be a good idea to just park one of your mechs on them. Of course, if you are going to do that, you do need to keep your power at a respectable level so that they can actually, defend the resources. Now, I don't have a good segue to the next tip. So efficiency is usually a no-brainer in games like these, but there's a little bit more to it in Scythe. Because each action has a top and bottom side, if you can do both, you're probably going to want to. And if you can engineer it so that you can do multiple top and bottom actions in a row, that's even better. But you want to direct this efficiency to where it'll do the most good. Specifically, that means finding the bottom actions that earn you the most coins and getting the resources that will let you take those actions as much as possible. Each bottom action is tied to a star that you can earn, so if you can amass some wealth in the process, that'll put you in a really good position all on its own. Even if you aren't the one ending the game, you should still try to get as many stars as possible. And the way that you do that is by specializing. You may think that you want to try and do a little bit of everything, but that is a trap. Don't fall for it. No, at the beginning of the game, you should identify 3 or 4 things that you know you can do and really focus on them. And then once you put in some progress on that, then you can try to identify the other 2 stars to go for. Now, we've already talked about the bottom actions that earn you coins. That's 2 or 3 stars right there. But the rest are going to be dependent on your circumstances. Maybe your faction really likes combat, right? That's 2 stars. If you have a good quest, then that could be an easy star for you. Maybe you want to put out all of your workers or max out your power. Everything is doable. You just have to make a decision and then commit to it. And those are my top 5 beginner strategy tips for Scythe. If you have some great advice, please leave it in the comments below. And if you want to watch my run through and final thoughts of this game, you can head on over to Rado's channel and check it out. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.